Hello friends, I'm back again. I have officially finished painting all of my Dungeons and Lasers stuff. Now Dungeons and Lasers was a crowdfunding campaign. It came in many boxes. I've got a unboxing that took about half an hour to do. I think it was, I'm having trouble remembering exactly, but it was at least 3 or 4 little boxes like this. This is the stretch goals box that was I guess the freebie kind of thing that came when you backed the Dungeons and Lasers encounters. And there's a bunch of, there were super stretch goals, there are regular stretch goals, and these were a lot of really small characters. It's just kind of wrapping up the end of this box of Dungeons and Lasers stuff. I guess to start with, I also painted the last of the Dulsar miniatures. They're kind of these big chunky miniatures that they had for as a promo for their next campaign, which I also backed, and I guess we'll be discussing next year sometime. But they have a whole campaign for Dulsar, and in fact, you can still get a lot of this stuff, and the Dulsar stuff is still, the pledge manager is still open, so you still have a chance to go and get those things if you should want them. Okay, so let's talk about the end of this box. So there was a lot of really interesting individual characters. You can tell these are kind of stretch goals that just kind of got added as the thing went on. Something that they had in here were these harpies. These harpies were really interesting. I've painted a few harpies. There was some stuff that came out with Hellboy. The Hellboy game had some harpies in it, and I believe Solomon Kane had some harpies in it, if I remember correctly. There was something else that had harpies in it that I've painted recently. And these by far were the best looking of the harpies that I've ever painted. So I think it's kind of funny, but a lot of, out of all the Dungeons and Lasers stuff, I think there are only 2 male characters, and you'll see them in this video. There may be more, and some of them, they're monsters, so it's kind of ambiguous, and it doesn't matter, I guess, what their gender is. But it's funny, especially with these harpies. I was like, man, these are probably like the cutest looking harpies I've ever seen. So there's that. With a pig, there's one that's like, it's killed a pig and it's kind of flying up above it like it's about to scoop it away. And I missed the seam. I forgot to trim down the seam that was on the side. So I just kind of put a lot of blood on it and made it look sort of like the killing blow. Another thing I kind of needed, so with these harpies, I used the bases that came with the game, and to kind of help them out a little bit, there's enough of a gap there to where you can glue a penny down, and putting that penny down really made a difference for making sure that these things end up staying up and not falling over quite so easy. There were a couple of things that I sort of took a walk on, and by that I mean I primed it. I put one color on with some contrast paint and just set it aside. And that would be the ants. There were these giant ants. These looked like they would probably be kind of interesting if you wanted to go really go crazy with the detail and stuff. You can paint these up and make them look real nice. There's such a niche little character and stuff, just some giant ants. And I decided to just put a quick coat of contrast paint on. Painted it red so it kind of looked like a fire ant. Something else that I painted pretty quickly would be these snakes. I was doing I was looking around to see what kind of snake. They looked like vipers. They had that pointy head, so I knew that there was some sort of poisonous snake. And I came across this turquoise or blue viper. I can't remember exactly what the species is, but I decided to paint them just like that. So it's kind of an unusual color for these things, but they do look a lot like these blue vipers that are very beautiful and dangerous snakes. They also had a Cerberus, the 3-headed dog that guards hell. This was probably my least favorite model out of the whole box set. I thought the dog heads looked kind of funny, and it was kind of an awkward model to paint and put together. I was going to paint it all black, and I decided I didn't like it very much. It just kind of looked like a big blob there, so I went back in and I made it sort of a red color, like a dark red with a lot of shading and stuff. And I liked that a bit better. It made it look a little bit more like it crawled out of hell that way. Another thing I thought was really cool were these mermaids. They've got a mermaid that looks like she's there luring people in. She's got her lyre there, and she's kind of sitting on a rock and looking pretty and stuff. And then we've got another one who is showing her true colors and is getting all kind of freaky attack mode and lunging out like she's about to attack or something. So that's pretty cool. With this one, especially the one that's kind of lunging up, I decided to add an Inviso base. Super Inviso bases or something from Pulp Alley. And they're just little plastic discs and stuff. It just kind of helps it stand up a little bit better. Not that this one was teetering too much, but I actually did that on a couple of these. Another one I want to show you is this kind of nature lady. I have no idea what these characters are supposed to be. I didn't look up instructions or anything like that, and I didn't go back in the campaign to see specifically what they called them as they unlocked these stretch goals. This lady's got some birds in her hand and kind of grabbing at her clothes and got some butterflies lifting her hair up and stuff. It looks like, you know, she's having a really good time out in the forest someplace, and that's about all I had to say for her. Again, in the same tone, we've got this person that kind of looks like maybe a dryad or something, some sort of plant woman. And again, they've got breasts, so very obviously a woman, even though it's kind of a ambiguous monster-ish thing, some kind of tree creature. Another thing we've got here is a lady in the lake. I actually meant to go back through this one and pick out a couple of more details or something. But it's just so unusual, just kind of sitting there. So this is probably going to go in my bits box and will be added to some terrain or something later. I even thought about making her more ghostly and stuff, but I decided it'd be easier to kind of work it in maybe this way. So we got a little lady in the lake, possibly holding Excalibur. Now we come to like the only dude in that whole box of things. And he's an old man. He looks like an old forest wizard, and he's got his owl. I decided to paint it all Harry Potter style, so it's sort of a snowy owl. And he's got his big staff with the bone or the skeleton. It looks like an elk skeleton or something on top of his staff, and it looks like he's about to send a message, or he's got the owl vigilantly looking out over the forest. And the other thing that I'm guessing is probably a dude is this furry pig man. I have no idea what this thing's supposed to be, but he's got a pig face. He's covered in bells, and it's almost like it's like a magic creature. I can see this as a woodland creature with little silver bells that have kind of ward off evil and stuff. He's got leaves like attached to his fur and stuff like that. So he seems like he goes with the wizard pretty well. I can see him and the wizard maybe being friends and hanging out, having adventures in the forest. So what's funny is the very last thing I painted from the Dungeons and Lasers set is this little signpost that I guess I missed on the last one where I was going through getting all the non-character stuff and painting it up. This would look good on one of my little encounters that I've already set up, so I probably will just throw this in my bits box and add it in to an encounter at some point. So also included with Dungeons and Lasers are these sort of blue transparent objects. Now, I didn't paint these, obviously, they're just assembled, but they are kind of a neat way to kind of show magical items, and because they're included in the kits, I wanted to make sure to show them. There's also a big glowing tree that hopefully I showed before in the video, but I don't seem to have a still of it. But these things are really interesting. They don't always show the details very well, and I'm wondering if a little wash on them might help. There's one in particular, this fountain, and I think what I'd like to do is paint on it a little bit and make it partially transparent. I think that might come across a little bit better. But since this is the end of a campaign that I've been painting for several months, I thought we'd take a quick look at the stills from all the things I painted from Dungeons and Lasers. Here we go. And that's it. That's all of the Dungeons and Lasers stuff. I painted a bunch more this week, but I'll probably save it for next week. Next week I'm doing more of a random stuff. I'm trying to gear up. I'd like to play a game that I really love called Pulp Alley. Pulp Alley is a miniature agnostic skirmish game. And Owen, the person that I make videos with all the time, said he wanted to do a sword and sorcery adventure. So I've got all of this stuff, which will be perfect for that. And I'm going to add in a little bit more, like from Black Plague and a couple of other places. So look for that coming up next week. We're going to break out some Black Plague and make some dwarf monster hunters. We've already got all the monsters. So time to get something to hunt them down. And folks, that's all I got for you today. If you'd like to see more of these tabletop updates, I've got a video playlist right here. And over there, something YouTube thinks you'll like. Until next time, enjoy your games, and I'll see you soon.